So we're talking about fitting in to the neighborhood that I lived in. And one of the key things to understand is that there was actually diversity in my neighborhood. But you always judge diversity from your starting point, where you're starting from. And I understood myself to be Yiddish, whatever that term meant, and everybody else was English. That meant that my Chinese friends were English, my Italian friends were English, because they weren't Yiddish. So you're always judging things from where you start, and you don't stop to think that actually everybody else is doing the same thing. Now, it led me to some interesting experiences because I was basically living in a sea of Christianity, and I had to learn how to float. And I had to learn not to drown. I would like to give you an illustration of the kind of learning experience I had, bearing in mind that I was not only trying to fit in culturally to my neighborhood and understanding everybody else's religion, but I also trying to fit in socially, so I was trying to do what everybody else did. And this story reflects a little bit of all those dimensions. And the story is how I learned about nuns. I learned about nuns the hard way. Our gang used to climb over the brick wall into their garden to steal pears from their trees. The first time I did it, I was struck dumb when I came along a path, and a giant statue of a guy on a cross seemed to be looking down straight at me. I was paralyzed, while my friend, the lookout, told me to get out. I couldn't move and was still staring when a nun placed her iron grip on my shoulder. "You march straight this way, young man, and no shenanigans," she said sternly as she led me into the office. I had no idea what a shenanigan was, but I thought it might be a kind of leprechaun. We entered a large office with a window, letting light stream in behind. I saw a dark figure seated, but because the light shone all about it from the rear, I could make out no features. Then she stood up and blocked out the light. She was a huge woman with a huge smile. Come in, you little ruffian," she said. "So you mischief makers were stealing fruit again?" "Thank you, Sister Mary Ellen. I will deal with the boy now." I liked the way she said ruffian and mischief. I smiled my winningness smile and scuffed the toe of my right shoe on the floor. "What's your name, my little man?" she asked. "Joshua," I answered, giving my brother's name. The same as our Lord." "Is that okay?" I wondered. "Why, certainly, it's marvelous. Sit down, Joshua, and tell me, have you been taking our fruit?" "Yeah, you're right, but there's tons there. I'm sure you'll have lots left." "Why did you get caught today?" I looked down on my feet and mumbled, "Oh, Jesus." "You're absolutely right, Joshua," she explained. "The Lord works in mysterious ways." "Well, Jesus," I said, "if he wasn't hanging up there on that cross, I'd have got away." "Marvelous, Joshua." She clasped her hands together. I knew I was doing something right, but I wasn't sure what yet. "Holy jumpin' Jesus Christ. If I hadn't have been scared of that statue, she'd have never have caught me. I can run like a bat out of hell." Oops, that wasn't right. Her face fell like a stone. Her smile shrunk from the broad, expansive kind to the small, tight-lipped kind. "But Jesus, I couldn't save myself," I went on in hope. Her face lightened. I decided to throw myself on the mercy of the court. "Can I ever be forgiven?" I lowered my head on my chest and faked sadness. She came from behind her desk and placed her hand on my shoulder. "Of course, my son," she said. "Who is without sin?" I was in the clear. I lifted my head and smiled. "Joshua, we've noticed that you always climb into the garden at the same time. Instead, why don't you come to the front door and ask for some pears for Joshua and his gang? I'll have the sisters prepare a bag for you every Monday and Thursday. What do you say?" She held out her hand. I stood up and shook her hand. Getting pears from a nun was like stealing candy from a baby. She walked me to the front door and bid me goodbye. Don't forget to come back next Monday. I turned to wave, and even while I was thinking I had pulled one over on her, I noticed her eyes still twinkled in a way that bothered me. What did she know that I didn't? I soon found out. After 2 or 3 times coming for fruit at the front door, the gang grew bored with the whole routine and stopped coming to the convent. It was too much like going to the bank. The nuns knew what I now discovered. You only want what you can't have and face a challenge in getting it. Snookered by nuns.